It's not only when we're hitting the ropes or hitting the mat. There are 4 other times you are performing as a professional wrestler. And if you don't know all 4, then it's fortunate you clicked on this video. I'm Mike Quackenbush, this is Till We Make It, and right here on my channel, I make videos for fellow professional wrestlers at every single stage of their career. And I do this because when I was just starting out, for the first 3 whole years, I was an active pro. I had no coach to teach me, nor did I have a mentor to guide me. And I think that lack of access to veteran knowledge and experience and wisdom played a significant role in my failure to achieve my ultimate career goals. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else. I don't want that to happen to you. Before we dive in, many members of the Till We Make It tribe have reached out in recent weeks needing personalized attention on things like an upcoming audition or promo they have to cut, feedback about a recent match, performance, or character that they've developed, or even upcoming training. And if that sounds like you and you need individualized answers, well, join me over on Wizio. There is a promo code appearing down below on the screen that will get you 10% off any one-on-one that you book with me, at least for a limited time. Now, to the matter at hand. This is an area that I want to zoom into, specifically 4 areas where I have seen wrestlers of all experience levels seemingly forget they are performing. Up first, the most obvious one of all. It is the moment that you step through the curtain to begin your entrance. Remember, this is where Act 1 begins, not when the bell sounds to start your match. The moment that you come through the curtain, that the audience can see your face, can see your body language, can hear your voice, you are performing. So remember, if there are eyes on you, if there are cameras on you, you are being called on to perform. Your ring entrance is the most valuable, undiluted screen time you will have throughout the entire performance. Remember, the focus is exclusively on you. It isn't divided between you and your opponent or you and the opposing team. For those 60 seconds, you command the stage. So what do you want to convey to the audience in those 60 seconds? What could you tell them about your character's emotional state or the values your character embodies during the entrance? So if you're thinking to yourself, Mike, what does that even mean? Let me give you an example or two. Let's say that your character is an easily intimidated underdog. How could you perform that state of mind during your entrance? How could you convey that to the audience on hand? Or let's say that your character's main value is acrobatic skill. Well, how could you perform acrobatics during your entrance? Do the acrobatics need to wait until you do your springboard dropkick during your comeback? No. I'm certain there's a way you could incorporate that value into the 60 undiluted seconds that make up your entrance. And remember, all of Act 1, which includes your entrance before the bell sounds, makes a promise to the audience. And that promise says, this is who and what the character is. And then you have the entire balance of the performance to fulfill that promise to the audience. This second item on my list is rapidly becoming my new top pet peeve in all of professional wrestling. It is rampant in tag matches, trios, atomicos, multiple person affairs, and it happens when one wrestler tags out of the match, climbs onto the apron, and then effectively just stops performing. They become a passive observer of what's going on in the ring. But in those moments, you are still performing. You're still on stage. The people can see you. The cameras can see you. There's a mistaken notion among wrestlers of all experience levels at the moment that when you tag out, that you are off and that you won't be on again until you get tagged back into the match. But this is false. You've got plenty of options to pick from once you make it out onto the apron. And remember to constantly shine your pain to the audience. Sell, emote, remind them of what you just endured before you tagged out. If what's going on in the ring features one of your teammates doing really well, well, you might be excited, encouraging. You could coach from the sidelines or otherwise offer moral support. Or if things aren't going so well for one of your teammates in the ring at that time, well, maybe you seem kind of downhearted and disappointed. Things might even get desperate. But shine that emotion out to the audience using your theatrical tools, your face, your voice, and your body language. Up third on my list is the aftermath. Everything that takes place after the closing bell before you are out of view. So remember, even though the match is over, if you haven't made it back safely behind the curtain yet, you're still on stage, you are still performing. So while you're out there in the aftermath of the match, ask yourself, what can I do to bring greater gravitas or meaning to the result of the match through my performance? For example, if the business of the match is to establish your opponent's new finishing move as an absolute killer, what could you bring to the performance to help accomplish that goal for the entire ensemble? Is there something you might be able to do in the way that you sell that foreshadows the rematch that you know is booked for next month? Or some other story development that you realize is a long-term goal of the booking that you can start to integrate into your performances during the aftermath? Up fourth is one I know people are going to bristle about, and I don't care. I believe that when you are at the merchandise table, you are still performing. Anywhere near the show space, when you are interacting with ticket-buying customers, you are still performing. You've laid out all of your t-shirts and your masks and your 8x10s and your assorted goods in a colorful array, and as far as I'm concerned, this is no different than the gift shop at the end of the Disney park attraction. Know what I mean? When you get to the end of a ride in Walt Disney World, it delivers you directly into a related gift shop. But you are still inside the park. The gift shop is still inside the park. And I think the merchandise table is still inside the show space. So preserve that sense of mystique and wonder so that the ticket-buying customer actually gets the experience that they paid for. And yes, I do understand that there is a certain type of customer who wonders who the person is inside the Donald Duck costume. But you know what? Donald Duck doesn't just pop his mascot head off for the sake of taking a selfie with a curious customer. Similarly, there is a type of customer out there that wants to know exactly how a magician does all of their tricks and illusions. And that's a very natural, a very human curiosity to have. But that curiosity does not obligate the magician to then reveal how all of his tricks are done. That preserved mystique sparks imagination. It fosters fascination and intrigue within the mind of the customer. So ask yourself, is that imagination, fascination, and intrigue across the course of a long pro wrestling career worth the price of maintaining the integrity of your character? I think the answer is always an emphatic yes. A sidebar. If you happen to have a fan interaction that is away from the show space, like you bump into a fan in line at a concert or while you're out eating at a restaurant, do not feel any obligation to don the character there. Having said as much, I've absolutely had fan interactions out in public, usually in airports, where it's very clear. They want the character interaction. And for the duration of an autograph or a selfie or a quick conversation that's gonna last 60 seconds, I'm not afraid to oblige anybody that's being polite and courteous. But let's flip that pancake over for a second. If you are having a fan interaction out there in the real world that feels rude, pushy, or impolite, you are under no obligation to humor them. And no one, no matter how big of a fan or how much they protest, is owed your autograph or your photo. Feel no obligation whatsoever to tolerate impolite behavior. Well, that's what I think about when pro wrestlers are performing, but what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. And if performing professional wrestling is something you simply must master, let me give you my toolbox, Building Better Pro Wrestling, a book through Amazon or an audiobook through Audible. I'll give you all kinds of performative tools to help you take your pro wrestling to the next level.